This is Splash FM.
Well, what a glorious day we're having here in the region, and I personally am in Shoreham at the Great Air Show.
It is a glorious afternoon here in Sussex and indeed at the Shoreham Air Show, which is the largest charity air show in the UK. There's all sorts going on here. We've got Lancing College over in the blue yonder. It looks fabulous up on the hill. I can also see the bouncy castles, the slides, and kids can have such a good time here. And you know what? It's just lovely to sit on a little chair with your mug of tea and looking at all the action that's going on, particularly in the sky. But you know what? There's so much going on the ground. So we're going to have a great day today, and it's very exciting. We're at the top of the Splash FM bus. So if you are actually at the air show today, come along and say hello. We'd love to see you. And I've got a great view here. I can see the planes in the sky. We've got some red arrows flying around. We've got helicopter rides over to my right, and you can have a go and get all the family on board. So it's really exciting. Well, we're going to bring you some of the highlights of the Shoreham Air Show this afternoon, and we have some amazing displays going on here. So wherever you are in West Sussex, if you look up in the sky, you will also have your own air show. So watch out and see what you can spot and see if it matches with whatever display is going on that I'm going to be talking to you about. And with me is a pilot who was on one of the first shows this morning, and it's Jez Hopkinson. Welcome.
Hi, thanks very much.
Well, I have to say that it was pretty exciting stuff watching you guys up in the air. Now, tell me a little bit about your crafts, because they're not British, they're not American. Where are your crafts from?
They're actually Russian. They're all based on Russian fighters from the Second World War. We have 3 single seats, version Yak-50s, and we have a 2-seat one which leads. But they're all based on the era from 1945, so they're wonderful to fly.
Now, did you start off as sort of flying planes to take passenger crews, or was this something that you started off saying, I want to be a special pilot from a very young age?
I think most people that come into the airshow world have always wanted to be a pilot from a young age. For myself, I can say, yeah, it was watching the Red Arrows when I was very young. That was an inspiration, I think, more than anything else.
Now, how do the Yakovs differ from sort of British or American planes?
Well, the whole ethos of the Russian aircraft is it's over-engineered, so the engines are massive. They're 450 horsepower, they're supercharged, 10-cylinder, 9-litre, and they're just big and robust, and everything's large and just stinks of oil and diesel. It's just fantastic.
If you're into that sort of...
Absolutely.
Well, you know, when I was watching you in the air earlier on this morning, and when you're taking those dives, you know, do you feel yourself wanting to fall through the window, or does it have that kind of feeling when you're sort of diving around the sky?
Well, you're pretty busy up there, so you tend not to think about the G-forces, and because we do so much of it, we're automatically ready. But sometimes when you're inverted and you're doing negative G, which is pushing opposite to the pulling effect, you do kind of end up dangling in your straps a little bit, and sometimes that's a bit uncomfortable.
Oh, I tell you, well, we were dangling in our straps watching you, that's for sure. You do about 60 air shows in the year. What's so special about this one here at Shoreham for you?
I think Shoreham's one of the best shows we do. It's the mix of both civilian acts and the military. You've got some of the big hardware, the big jets that come in here, but you've also got some of the small aircraft as well. I don't know if you were watching yesterday, you should have seen the glider show, which was absolutely fantastic to be able to see a glider do that kind of demonstration. And then you have ourselves, a 4-ship team. You have the Chinook coming in doing a superb show as well from a helicopter point of view. And there's many other fantastic shows that you just don't see at the other events. So I think Shoreham is just one of the better ones.
There's a lovely family feel to it as well. It doesn't feel too huge or out of control, and I think that's something that's nice as well. And where I am actually right now is on top of the Splash FM bus at the Shoreham Air Show 2006, and I have to say somewhere I wouldn't like to be right now is with the utterly butterly wing walkers who are currently in the sky at the moment. They've just done the loop while they're standing, waving and smiling at us as we're on the ground. Can you believe that? Well, I have a very special guest sitting beside me here on the bus at the moment, and it's Pete Kinglyside, and he's actually with the Harrier display crew. So very welcome to the Splash FM bus.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So how does it feel sitting stationary on a bus compared to a Harrier?
Oh, well, this is probably more nerve-wracking than I am when I'm doing my display.
Well, I'm glad we both have nervous moments then today. Now, a big highlight of the show for me, I have to tell you, Pete, was that I actually got to sit on a Harrier this morning. I wonder was it your Harrier, but it was so exciting. And the first thing I did whenever I got up there to go and climb into the seat, as soon as I put my feet in, they said, oh, just watch that little loop there, because if you stand on that, you will eject. And I had a very nervous moment as I was trying to sit in the seat, as you can imagine, as I was about to do something really amazing. So has that ever happened to you where you've actually sort of slipped your foot into the wrong thing?
Oh, no, we're pretty careful when we get in and out, but the aircraft's pretty robust and we'll take a bit of a beating as you get in and out.
Well, now, I'm used to working sort of all these sort of technical knobs and buttons, and if anybody else sees them, they go, oh, my goodness, how do you work those? Well, when I sat in the Harrier cockpit, I have to say I looked around me in total amazement to think that you'd have to operate that amount of equipment whenever you're flying. But the most amazing thing that really got me was the fact that you had a stopwatch, a really old-fashioned stopwatch there. How critical is that when you're flying, Pete?
Well, I mean, the Harrier is a very technical aeroplane with lots of advanced weapon systems, GPS, etc., etc. But if all else fails, then obviously we can fall back on our basic training, get a map out and use our stopwatch to find our way home. That's pretty much its only use.
Now, what exactly was the Harrier used for in wartime?
Is used for. The Harrier's... it's been, obviously it's famous for its participation in the Falklands campaign, but more recently it obviously took part in Gulf War II in 2003 and is currently on operations in Afghanistan. And we're actually going through a multi-million pound upgrade of the Harrier to make it turn it from a GR7 to a GR9. And that's going to give the Harrier a new lease of life, and you'll see the Harrier is a frontline combat aircraft for at least another 15 to 18 years.
So it's still very much in use, and as you just said, in current war zones. Now, for pilots like yourself, Pete, you're flying here at the Shoreham Airshow, and it's all great fun. Do you actually have to do the more serious stuff as well?
Well, I've recently come off a frontline tour with 4 Army Cooperation Squadron, where I saw service in Iraq and Afghanistan. But now in my present job, I'm on the conversion unit. And my day job is teaching the next generation of combat Harrier pilots, and my weekend job is displaying the Harrier to crowds like you guys at Shoreham.
Well, I must say it's very exciting and we're really looking forward to it. Now, what do you have to keep in mind whenever you're doing a display here at Shoreham Airshow? There must be some critical things that you have to think about.
I mean, obviously my display doesn't really vary from site to site. But Shoreham is actually quite a tricky venue. Obviously, you've got the hill with Lancing College on, the chimney off the end of the display line, and it's also a little bit hazy today with a little bit of an on-crowd wind. So everywhere you go, there's always challenges at every site to keep you on your toes.
Well, Pete, I know that you're going to have a display this afternoon, which you're really looking forward to. Wish you the best of luck with that. And indeed with all your displays. Thank you for talking to us today about the Harriers. And if you're looking at the building itself, the main building for the Shoreham Airshow, it really is spectacular. It's one of the best, if you like, real Art Deco specimens of the time. It's wonderful. It's like being on a movie set, and I feel I should be dressed in sort of a wartime sort of uniform, dashing around with my flip chart and about to go and sit down by a typewriter to send out an SOS. Real drama here at the show, which you would expect being the Shoreham Airshow, which is really exciting. And we're going to see some real live action. We're going to be taken back to what it might have been like in the real war times. It's going to be an air fight. So wherever you are in the area, please look up at the sky and see if you can catch a little bit of what it might have been like.
Okay, crackling away behind the Hurricane, you've got the lead Spitfire, which is a Griffin-powered machine you would expect. You have a Mark 9, a T Mark 9.